In the previous lesson, we have installed Tailwind CSS framework and created view called index.blade.php. And in this lesson, we're going to start creating markup for the home page of the application. As always, when we start working on the project, we have to start with development server. Let's execute npm run dev. So it is going to refresh page in the browser automatically anytime we're going to make changes to files with templates. Let's actually replace all the markup inside index.blade.php. This time I'm going to use capabilities of PHP Storm to generate default skeleton for HTML page. In here, let's also not forget and include CSS file by using with directive, and what blade directive are we're going to talk about in the future lessons. So let's create markup for the header first. I'm going to add header tag. The header is going to contain logo on the left side that is going to be represented as a link, and on the right side it is going to contain navigation links. So to add a logo, I'm simply going to use SVG icon. In this project we're going to use font awesome. So in here I'm going to search for icon with the name circle play. By the way, we can filter out all these icons to show only free ones. And then let's open up this icon and copy the SVG code of this icon. We just have to click on the code and it will be copied to the clipboard. Next, let's get back to PHP Storm and paste an icon. And right next to this icon, I'm also going to show the application name, watch. So let's check in the browser if the icon has actually been added. And indeed, we're seeing an icon, but for now, its size is not restricted. So I'm going to use one of the Tailwind CSS classes to restrict its size. By the way, PHP Storm already includes Tailwind CSS plugin by default, and anytime we start writing Tailwind CSS class, we get such auto-completion. I'm going to specify class size 12. And now we're seeing much smaller icon. Next, let's make it so that the logo as well as the text will be positioned on the same line. To do so, we're going to make this container flexible container where we're going to position elements vertically in the center. Also, let's increase spacing in between these elements. I'm going to use gap1 class for this. The text size will be 3XL and the font will be bold. And that looks good to me. So let's move on to defining markup for the navigation links that are going to be located right here. Let's create an ordered list with a couple of navigation items. They all will be represented by the links. So I'm going to duplicate one link 3 times just to test it out. And to move these links to the right side, we can make this whole wrapper flexible container where we're going to position elements in the center vertically and then add maximum amount of horizontal space between these elements, logo and navigation, so that they are positioned on sides of header element. Let's also add a little bit of spacing around header element. I will use p4 class that will add paddings around the header. Next, let's place all nav items on one line. I will use class flex for this, and spacing between nav items will be 8 units. Let's just focus on styling one nav item first, and then we can apply all these classes to other nav items. So let's make size of text extra large, font will be semi-bold, and the color of the text while hovering on this nav item will be violet. And that is looking good. Now I'm going to duplicate this nav item several times and create links to other pages of the application. The second page will be courses. The third page is going to contain the contact form to send an email. The fourth page will be login page, and the fifth one will be registration page. But as you can see, as I'm going to zoom out more and more, the header is not restricted by width, so I prefer to assign maximum width to the header element and then position this header element to the center of the screen, so that no matter which zoom level we're gonna have on the page, the header will always be positioned in the center. And the way how we can quickly restrict the width of an element is by assigning a class called container. And after this, as you can see, the width is restricted, but the container isn't positioned in the center. So let's do it by using a max auto class. This class is basically going to assign left and right margins and set it to auto. But since in our application all containers will be positioned in the center, we're gonna have to add this additional class, max auto, every time. But there is an easier way. We can just modify Tailwind CSS configuration file and specify in here so that all containers in the application are supposed to be centered by default. And the result will be the same. So now, no matter which screen size we'll have, the header will always be positioned in the center. Let's just increase spacing between logo and the app name. We'll just modify this class gap1, make it gap2. And just because the header with the navigation will have to be visible as we're going to scroll the page, we have to make this header fixed. Let's temporarily add a lot of content on the page so that we can test scrolling. And to fix this header at the top of the screen so that it's always visible during scrolling, we're going to assign class fixit to this element. And to kind of stretch this header all the way so it covers all widths of the browser window, we will assign insetX0 class. Also, we'll make the background color of the header white and add a little border from the bottom. After applying all these classes, we get the desired result. The header is now fixed. We can go back to PHP Storm and remove all this dummy content. In the next lesson, we will continue working on the template of the homepage.